On a daily basis, I see questions in Facebook groups. What can you make with soft type UV resin? And other questions. This is my first time using soft type UV resin, and I'm really excited to show you how I turned these 5 products into a beautiful ring. For my one-to-one challenge Tracey, I challenged her to a soft type UV resin project. I'm going to let you see how I got on first before I show you the inspiration. Usually when I do a project that I have to learn, I will show you all of the attempts, and it will usually go from not very good to better. Clearly this is not my first attempt. You can see some scraps there. This is actually my 4th attempt. For this video I'm taking you straight to the most successful one, but I will show you photos of the other ones later. And when I do that, I will explain why I wasn't happy with those versions and what I did to change it to improve it. So to start the project, I've got a large silicone pad, and then I have used beads as spacers for 2 smaller pads on top of that. So that has created a gap for me to pour my resin into. And the resin is my soft type with some of Tracey's 80 mesh super sparkle white mixed in. Just checking that it had cured, and it has, so I'm going to lift it off and give it a trim. It was quite difficult to see how deep the resin was, and it wasn't level all across the top, so it is under poured, but we'll deal with that later. For now I'm just trimming off any obvious excess. Here you should be able to make out the difference in thickness. See how thin it is on the right hand side, and I'm just comparing it to my previous version. I will give away the issue that I had with my 3 previous attempts. So that one that's off to the top there, that is my 3rd attempt, and the issue was with making them too thick. So number 3 was even too thick for my liking. So I was making sure that the one I'm working on now is thinner than that one, and even allowing for top coating will still be thinner than that one. Attempts 1 and 2 were way too thick. So I've given away why I wasn't happy, but I will wait until I show you the pictures of the first 2 for you to see why they were too thick. Okay, so as you can see, I'm just top coating with a bit more of the super sparkle mixture to try and even out the thickness of this one. Okay, so that has been cured, and it's still not 100% even thickness all across, but it's good enough. Now I've trimmed it up again, and I'm just trying it on to check that it is big enough. I actually originally intended it to be for the middle finger, and the position of the beads reduced the available length just that tiny bit too much, so it's ended up not being big enough for my middle finger. I mean, it would be big enough, the ends just wouldn't come together, whereas I'm wanting the ends to come together and even slightly overlap to the side. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, it soon will. Now on the inspiration video, they actually curve the ring and then attach the wire, so the wire is shaped whilst putting it on the ring. In my first 2 attempts I tried that and I could not do it. Now on the inspiration video, they have actually got a pre-made ring that they've just cut one slit into and then opened it slightly. And when I say a pre-made ring, I don't mean a jewellery ring. I mean, imagine a keychain ring but thinner. I don't have a pre-made ring that's suitable for use, so all I've got is my wire that's on a spool. So I wasn't able to curve the wire to match the shape of the resin in its ring form. So if I curved that resin into the shape I want, I wasn't able to match that with the wire. So I found it easier to cut the wire to the length of the flattened out ring resin and adhere it to it in that flat state, and then as long as it's stuck on correctly, it will bend the wire with the resin. Also, I am using 0.5mm wire here. Okay, so I've cut off 2 lengths of wire, and then I'm just going to try and straighten them out with my nylon pliers. And now I'm putting the resin back into the gap between my silicone mats so that I've got it held securely in place. This time I've got it on its side because I'm going to stick the wire to the sides of the ring. I will paint UV resin all along the side. The item is so thin that you may as well just paint across the whole thing rather than just trying to get it where the wire will be. The difficulty I haven't put UV on it yet, so there's no wet UV on that yet. The tricky part for this was getting the wire to lie on it flat, because unless the wire is 100% flat, which it's not, you'll get it in position on one end and the other end will flip upwards or sideways. So first I'm just trying to get the wire flat without any resin on, and when I've got it as flat as I can get it, then I will put resin on and actually stick it in position. Right, both sides have got the wire on now, so I'm going to do a bit more trimming up. The wire was a tad bit too long, and also where resin came all the way up to the bead and actually under the bead, the resin has squared off the bead, so I'm trimming off a bit of the resin as well to make the bead stand out at the end of the resin rather than be encased in the resin. And we've also got a section of wire that didn't stick down properly, so I'm just pulling that apart to put some resin underneath it and then hold it pressed against the resin with my tweezers whilst I cure again. Okay, I come to do the first bend test and then decide a bit more trimming is required, and then back to the bend test, very gently, very slowly, making sure the wire bends with the resin. So here's a photo of my second attempt. I actually don't appear to have kept a photo of the first attempt, and I haven't kept the item either. I'm blaming it on the flowers for the first two being way too thick, because I was doing 3 proper pouring layers, a base layer, then the flower layer, then a top coat layer to make sure there was no flowers sticking out, as opposed to 1 layer of resin and then any further coats I've just brushed on thinly, which is how I've done the 4th one. And here's a close-up of that 3rd attempt. Can you see how there is a clear layer and then the super sparkle layer? So I made that one too thick because I don't know why, for some reason I put a clear layer down first instead of just going straight in with the super sparkle like I did for this 4th one. And here's the photo of the project from Cray Art channel. You will see later that I actually changed the project a little bit. So whereas I start copying Cray because I don't have confidence in my own imagination, I got to a certain point in the project where copying just wasn't working because I don't have the right accessories, shall we say. And so it has actually turned into a case of I was inspired by Cray rather than just copying. And I'm really proud of the actual end result compared to what the end result could have been had I just stuck with copying Cray. And that has actually given me the confidence to and inspired me to do this differently again a future time. So if you like this one, keep an eye out for any future videos where I make this type of project. Okay, so we now have a ring that is still too bendy and too easy to bend out of shape. So in order to solidify it in the ring shape, I'm going to use some clear hard type and I'm going to paint it on as a top coat. I'm going to start by doing that on the inside of the ring. Then I will do it on the outside of the ring, but I can only do it in little sections at a time in order that I can hold the ring in the position. On the inside, it would have been nice to be able to coat the whole ring in one go, but there would be dripping or running down the sides. It'd be running down from the top and creating a pool in the bottom, wouldn't it? Okay, so we've got a bit of a break for me to say hello. If you're new here, thank you for joining me. If you're not new here, thank you for joining me again. I really hope you're enjoying the video because I certainly enjoyed making them. Hence, I would normally have stopped at 2 or 3 and then said, well, there you go, I've given you the idea. You can probably do a better job than me. And if you do, brilliant, I've taught you something. But I was enjoying it so much, I was determined to get it. My brain is now buzzing with this type of project, so I really look forward to showing you future better versions of this without all the trial and error. I know exactly what I will do in future, so I'll be more to the point. I'm going to link a couple of playlists for you. I will link my jewellery shakers and keychains playlist. I will also link my jewellery collaboration playlist. This is mainly my videos at the moment. There are a few in there from other creators, but it's a fairly new thing. It hasn't gained traction yet. But you could take part in that collaboration even if you don't do YouTube. Watch my announcement video for details on how you can enter. I will link that in the description as well. Okay, I've jumped ahead and I have still managed to get a couple of lumpy bits where I haven't cured it before it started to run down the sides. I do manage to trim this off, even though this was the hard type resin. I think because it was such a thin layer, I managed to still trim it and sand it a little bit. And then brush on another coat of the clear hard type to shine it back up again. Okay, as you can see, I didn't manage to hold it in position. That's where I want it, but it had opened back up to where the ends didn't cross paths. But luckily it's still bendable enough for me to put it into that position. So now I'm doing another top coat on each side of the clear hard type and on the sides. Okay, I finally got it to hold in position in the shape that I'm happy with. And now this is where my copying the original video becomes a mistake. So what I'm going to do now is trim it a little bit more at the sides, because on the inspiration the wire is set back a little bit even more from that main bead, and then at the ends of the wires is two smaller beads, I think, but I don't have beads small enough. So I put my beads on, and whether it's because the beads are too big or whether I still don't cut the wire back far enough, I'm not sure, but they end up looking silly. So jumping ahead, I'm putting a dot of UV, this is the clear hard type again, on the end of a piece of wire. Get a bead on, get it resting in position against the larger bead, and get it under the lamp as quick as I can before it falls off. Okay, I've skipped ahead. Here's a freeze frame close-up of what I ended up with. So each end ended up with just 3 beads in a line, and I really didn't like how it looked. So I'm cutting those ends off. That's going to make the ring even shorter than originally intended, but again, I've learned from this and I will do better next time. So I'm just cutting straight across, wire, resin, everything. So now, instead of finishing off with beads, I'm going to finish off those ends with a couple of diamantes from my diamante strip.
In a quiet room, late night glow, mixing dreams with resin slow. Some ideas I already know, some scare me half to death, but I still go. Epoxy waves and UV light, trying to get it wrong to get it right. Hands not perfect, that's okay, every mark is part of the way. I step outside what feels safe and known, build something beautiful on my own. If it breaks, I'll show you why. If it works, we'll both fly. I make it with a heart, every part. Love in the mess, love in the art. If I say I should have, you'll understand. If I can't fix it, you still learn from my hands.
Oops, these ones slipped when I was putting it under the light, so just a little adjustment just in time before it started curing. Now a final little touch up of UV resin, going across the resin onto the diamantes, on the back and on the sides to make sure that they are fully stuck on. Okay, so this was my one-to-one challenge with Tracey from Mini Scenes GB. If you haven't checked out her video yet, please do so. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed it. Have a good week, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.
In a quiet room, late night glow, mixing dreams with resin slow. Some ideas I already know, some scare me half to death, but I still go. Epoxy waves and UV light, trying to get it wrong to get it right. Hands not perfect, that's okay. Every mark is part of the way. I step outside, would feel safe and known, build something beautiful.